Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to today's training. It is March 13th, 2021, and today we're going to be covering several topics, starting with the daily market updates on the pricing dashboard. To access that, just simply go to your agent launch menu, which is at agent.trupower.com, and click the bottom green button, which will access the back of the platform. If you haven't logged in, it'll bring up a login page. Otherwise, it should remember your last login and bring you directly in. From here, you'll notice there's three tabs here at the top. On the right is Market Update. So when you click on that, you're going to see that the system analyzes all of the analytics for all of the different areas, the deregulated areas. And so when you click on that, it is going to pull up the best markets and the markets with the most significant changes where we can provide the most value for the customers. And so this is really key. And so you want to check this every day, especially if you're looking at getting new customer leads in your Dropbox to contact. So this way you're really focusing on areas where you can provide the most value. And so if you look at the list here, it starts with the commercial matrix rates are lower than the utility rate. So you can see right now in Connecticut for Eversource, you can see that the best matrix rate is 7.034 compared to the utility price to compare was 8.192. So that's about 11.58 difference in mils. So 11 mils is pretty significant. So we would obviously want to take advantage of that. And so when you're looking at all of these different markets, it should start with the commercial matrix rates at the top, and you can scroll down through that until it gets to the natural gas matrix rates. And below that is going to be the residential matrix rates lower than the utility. And then, of course, the markets where customers receive most competitive bids. If there was some natural gas prices below the market for residential, that would show up inserted right here. Otherwise, from time to time, you're also going to see markets where the customers receive competitive bids that are typically more aggressive than anywhere else. Then you're going to see that listed right here. So the last one yesterday was in Illinois. The bid was 29.122 per therm as opposed to 33 cents on the matrix price. So that was 3.97 cents difference in mils. So that's really good. So again, to access that, all you need to do is go to your dashboard and click on Market Updates. From here, you're going to see a list of all the historical going back through the week. This one was from Friday. You typically are not going to get any updates during the weekend, but you will during the week. Next, let's go over the updates within the instant quote back in the dashboard again. So from here, last week we talked about how to enter a customer with all of their information. So I'm not going to go through that today, but you can review last week's training to go over that. But I did want to bring you up to date to some of the changes that were made in the instant quote. So if you click on instant quote, and let's go ahead and put in a zip code along with some kWh. We'll leave it at 5 mils for the moment. All right, so if you come down here, you'll notice that the filters for the terms, suppliers, products, along with the sorting has been moved to the top of the list. It used to be right down here, and I think a lot of people missed it. So we moved it up to make it a little bit easier for you to have access and see that, because you're obviously going to be operating in the upper 2/3 most of the time. So you can filter, select all of the suppliers or all of the different terms that are available. Sorting by savings is going to help usually put the contracts that are the longest with the greatest amount of savings at the top. But we don't see any savings. Why is that? Well, go back up to the top of the platform here, and you'll notice where it says price to compare. If you click on this drop down and put in whatever the customer is currently paying, if you know that, then you can go ahead, put that in there. It will automatically update the platform. So now when you look at all of the available plans, then you're going to see that this one right here at 5.094 is a 60-month term contract. It saves the customer about $29,000 and your commission is 4,000. So that's with 54 plans showing on the platform. So if we want to increase that, let's click all. And now we're looking at 106 plans. So that's going to give you a lot more plans to look at. I certainly wouldn't send all of that to a customer, but it does give you a quick glance to be able to go through there and analyze what type of or what term and what price you want to provide your customer. So if I was going to email these plans to the customer, you just simply click email the plans to the customer. You got a place to put in their name, email, and a call to action note. Just be mindful that when you enter or send that to a customer, they're going to see a snapshot of this page. It is going to show the supplier, the rate for what that supplier is offering, the term, and the estimated savings. It will not show the commission or a sign up button. This is going to be a static snapshot that goes into the email. You can certainly test this by putting in your email so that you can see what that looks like when a customer sees it. I would not want to send 106 different plans to a customer. So what I would like to do is narrow that down to what I prefer them to see. So I'm going to come over here on the filter terms, select none, and then come down and then select 60. So the 60-month term, there's 4 plans available right there. So let's get that up around maybe 10 or so. So if I just keep selecting these, so that's 8, that's 9, that's 12. So 9 to 12 is going to be sufficient. So now when I send this to the customer, no matter what they select, it's going to be a fairly long-term contract with a significant amount of savings and with a reasonable amount of commission as well, based on 5 mils. So that is the changes that we made on the instant quote, where we moved the filtering buttons, drop downs, to the top of the page or a little bit further up on top of the pricing to make it a little easier for you to access. The next topic that I want to cover is where to find the average price of electricity. Well, again, if we go back to this particular customer that we were doing an instant quote, we had put that they pay 8 cents. But what if you don't know and you want to find out? Well, the easiest way to do that is to go back over to your quick launch menu, click on the corporate website. And when the website comes up, right up here in the top menu under prices, click on average price of electricity. And that is going to bring up a page that is going to show you the average price that customers are paying for their electricity, whether you're looking for residential or commercial, and it's going to be listed by each state. Well, we were looking at Texas, and so let's scroll down here to where we find Texas. Texas being right here. There is the residential average rate, and here is the commercial average rate. So we've got 7.75. And so if we go back to the pricing platform and change that 8 to 7.75, it's going to reload all of that information. That's going to be a little more realistic. So if the customer is not aware of what they pay or you have questions about that, you can always refer to this page, which shows all of the average prices for electricity. Just keep in mind that those averages are tallied each quarter. This is obviously based on December of 2020, which is the last quarter. So it's also nice to be able to look at where rates have been the highest. And if you see that in the updates that there's been a significant change, that opens up an opportunity for us to take advantage of a way to provide more value and significant savings for those customers. The next thing that we want to cover is updates in the reverse auction, and this is absolutely huge. So let's jump over to the dashboard. And if we were doing a reverse auction for a customer, let me just pull up a customer for an example. From here, we have the ability to look at matrix rates or to do a reverse auction for any customer who has more than 300,000 kWh. This customer does. And so if I click on request price, which is asking the suppliers to bid against each other in a reverse auction, it is going to pull up the reverse auction page, which allows you to set your mills in here. Once you set it, that's it. No changing it. After that point, it is going to set the auction for 3 days. You can certainly extend it. I think 3 days is sufficient. Most of the bids are going to come in on the last day anyway, but if for some reason it was in conjunction with a holiday and you felt like maybe another day or two was a value point, then maybe you want to do that. Or if the customer was out of town and not going to be back until a certain date, you don't want to set that out for weeks, but within a couple of days, start and make sure that the start and stop of that auction is going to be when that customer is going to be able to make a decision upon completion of that auction. And so one of the big updates that we have added, which is not available in the industry anywhere, and that is being able to request pricing for contracts up to 10 years. That's 120 months. That is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I wouldn't run an auction and just leave it at 120 months. I would probably also want to have at least a 60-month term in there, just in case some suppliers don't have 120 that they're offering. I may even want to put in here maybe, let's say, a 36-month term contract. So that means that all of these suppliers are going to come into the platform and bid against each other. They're going to be bidding on 120-month contracts, 60-month, and 36-month. So they can bid on all three of those. But occasionally, there's going to be contracts that are going to be close. In other words, a contract that might have a better rate, but it's a 59-month contract or a 58-month contract. And so if it's not listed in here, the suppliers will not post that and they will not bid. However, if you put in a note, please include any sweet spot deals. So if you put that in the special instructions, then those deals that are going to be close to the contract term that have a much better rate than what maybe I'm asking for, then they'll also include those as well. So that's key. I always add that just in case, because you never know when you're really going to get a much better deal that blows everybody out of the water just because it's a month or two different. So I like to always add the please include any sweet spot deals. Also down here, if you click this button, that will include the customer in the auction. So when you submit this off and create the session, it is going to instantly notify all of the suppliers that you have an auction up for bid. It is also going to send a link to the customer that they can click and they can actually access and watch the auction in real time. So you have that transparency. And I think that's key when you're dealing with a customer to let them know that we always have that transparency available for them. So that is how you complete the auction, and having the ability to get pricing for a customer that is beyond the 5-year mark, going out upwards of 10 years, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And just imagine if you have residual income for the next 10 years because you were able to provide that customer much better pricing today. And, you know, homes today are obviously going to be far less than what they are going to be in 10 years, or gasoline at the pump, and the same thing with electricity. Can't imagine that, especially with rates as low as they are right now, that you're going to find rates lower than where they are today 10 years from now. We're seeing a trend on average for pricing to increase in over the years at an average about 3% per year. So that's significant. So obviously 10 years down the road, if it was 30% higher, you're basically saving that customer an additional 30% by getting them a longer term contract. So that's exciting, being able to have that 120-month term available. So take advantage of it, but I wouldn't do an auction just solely with 120 months. I would also include 60 months, maybe even a 36 or 24, just so that I have some options. And then make sure that you also include any sweet spot deal notifications on the special instructions. The next thing we want to cover is an overview of the pricing platform system emails. So starting with the peak electric grid alert, there's one unique thing that we provide all customers that are customers through the TruPowur platform is 5 times a year, the utility company takes a snapshot at random of a customer's usage, and they typically take the three highest of those usage and average it together, and that becomes the basis for what you pay the following year on your energy on the portion you don't have any control over. And so with the peak electric grid alert, it's going to automatically send an email that looks like this 3 days before uh, a capacity tag is read. The system will automatically notify the customer via email. They'll get this email. It will let them know what day and at what time that is going to be read. So if that customer actually turns some things off, cutting back their usage, they could reduce their usage to little to none, so that when you have those capacity tags averaged at the end of the year, they can save up to 20% additional just for turning some things off for a little while. So I think that's huge. And in some cases, we're seeing customers even saying upwards of 40% as well. So that's a huge, huge benefit to be able to have that capacity tag notification and the peak demand on the electricity. So that's huge. That's something that nobody else in the industry has available. The reason we're able to do that is because of our extensive analytic capability and being tied in with all of the suppliers and all of the utilities. So that's a huge benefit that separate us from all of the others. So be sure that you take advantage of that when you're talking about the differences between uh, company X, who is maybe they have dealt with in the past, and what TruPowur provides them as a customer. Some of the other emails that uh, are sent by the platform, um, just so that you know, are anything that goes to the customer is always blind carbon copied to you. So anything that the customer sees, you will see. A little warning: do not click on anything on behalf of the customer. If the platform reads your IP as the identifier as the person who clicked the button, then that is technically fraud, and your account will be immediately uh, dispatched and terminated for fraud. So don't want to do that. But you will see the emails that the customer is seeing. And so we will put a copy of these in your Dropbox. If you don't have it or you don't see it, send an email to support, and they'll make sure that they get that updated so you have a copy of that. But any email that goes out to the customer is automatically going to be blind carbon copied to you, so you'll know exactly what's going on all the time. So there's several emails that the so there they are. Even when that customer is up for a contract renewal, they'll get an email. You'll get an email. So try to eliminate as much human error as possible. So there you have it. The next thing I want to cover is the customer appreciation offers button and a little clarification of usage. And so if you go over to the agent launch menu, right down here you have the customer appreciation button. From here, you're able to select a lot of promotional offers that we provide for you to give to the customer, but not to give this link to the customer. So don't go and give this link of getaway.trupower.com to the customer and just and hope that they choose the right one. The proper way to do it is click that button over there, select the one that you want from the drop down here. So let's say, for example, if for whatever reason you wanted to give that customer $100 off a case of wine, it'll pull all of the information up here. You've got a video that goes over some of the information and all you need to do is put that customer's email address in there and hit go. If you want to see what it looks like when the customer gets it, put your email address in there, hit go. It'll send you a copy of the same thing. But don't send the URL of this page out to the customer. Just put their email into the corresponding promotional item that you are wanting to provide that customer as either a promotional item for following through and having done something that you wanted them to do in a timely manner, or as a way to say thank you and we appreciate your business. So feel free to use these. The company pays for that, so we want to make sure that you take advantage of it and reap the rewards as well. So the next thing that I want to cover is a special bonus that TruPowur is offering the agents, and it is on the utility audit. And so if you go over to your agent launch menu, down here in the bottom left-hand side, you will see this button that says record your utility audit sales and get paid. If you click that button, it's going to take you to this page, which is going to give you a little more information about that. Basically, what it comes down to is we are working on a special training series covering all of the utility audit processes and are looking for some additional media. If we use any of your calls for the training, we will credit your agent license $10 for each call used the following month. So that's pretty good. So if you had 30 calls that you submitted and they were all used, then basically your next month would be free on your agent license. So that's not too shabby. You don't need to download anything. You can simply just go to this link right here. And with this page open, all you need to do to record your conversation is to click record, and it is going to continue to record both sides of the conversation. When you're done, simply click the button. It is going to show you the recording, and if you click save, it is going to download that to your computer. So all you need to do at the end of the day is to put your name, your TruPowur email address, your extension, and then you can drag and drop those files into the upload. They're saved as MP3s, so you can drag and drop them in here or upload them. Each one can be up to a meg long and up to 20 megs in total. There you have it. So quick little bonus. It would be helpful because we're going to be doing an extensive training on that, just so that you know we will be bleeping out all of the names and or identifying information, not only your name, but as well as the customer's name and information. So you don't have to worry about if you sound ridiculous. We want good calls, we want bad calls, because we're going to be talking about how to go about overcoming certain objections, how to improve calls. And so we just don't want all perfect calls. We want a gamma of everything. So feel free to record your calls, upload those, and save some money on your agent license. So why not take advantage of that? That concludes our training for today. You can find this and other previous training calls available from your agent launch menu right here under past Zoom training. So feel free to take advantage of that. Appreciate you spending time with us today. Have a great weekend and talk soon.